Hey everybody, welcome back to our 2026 football preseason coaches interviews. I'm here with Chandler Greer of AC Reynolds. But before we get into the questions, I just want to let everybody know about today's sponsor. That is Talk It Out NC. Talk It Out NC's mission is to reduce underage drinking by fostering open, honest, and ongoing conversations between adults and young people. Just like winning a big game, preventing underage drinking takes teamwork. Parents and teens can visit talkitoutnc.org for resources to start the conversation about the risks of underage drinking. For Coach, your first year as head coach, what has that transition been like for you?
Yeah, so first year, there's a saying, man, you never want to be the guy after the guy. And I'm following up the guy. Coach Shane Laws has been here, had a really successful time at Reynolds here. Three state championships appearances, 180 wins, 12 conference championships. I mean, he's had a he's left his mark here for sure. So, he's done a good job of setting the foundation, and it's my job to keep this thing keep building it up. And again, following him up is a tall task, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah, what has Coach Laws told you about the following act? What's been his message to you about the following act?
Yeah, I mean, he's been fantastic in this transition period. You know, he's told me multiple times, don't do it the way I did it. Do it your way. Put your stamp on it. And so, I've been trying to do that. Of course, we've got a proud tradition here at Reynolds, proud tradition of success, and so it's hard to change a lot of things when it has gone really well. But I've got to coach and just be who I am and be authentically me and just do it how I would, the only way I know how, and is how I'm doing it right now. And so I think that's been the message from him is just to make it yours, put your stamp on it. Don't just do things because we that's the way we've always done it. And it's been well received by the players, well received by our staff, and again, it's been a good transition so far.
So, what are your goals for this off season with the team?
So goals for off season right now, we want to get our numbers up. We want to develop some depth, and we really want to find out who our top 22 are. Um, and that's kind of been, each off season is a little bit has different phases, right? January through April and May, you want to get as big, strong, fast as possible. And our guys did a really good job at that of winning the weight room. And now we're getting into that transition period of, now, all right, let's start doing some football, right? Of course, we've done some 7-on-7s and we've done um, we've had some practices and some skill developments rather. And so we're just trying to develop some depth and find out who our top 22 are and try to put those guys in a position for us to be successful.
Well, as you're trying to find those guys, I mean, the guys that are returning are obviously a big deal. So, talk to me a little bit about your returners on offense.
Yeah, so returners on offense, we're going to be relying heavily on our offensive line. That's kind of where we've got a lot of playing experience on the offensive line. We're returning four guys that have had some snaps there, and so that's going to be a big piece as to what we're trying to do offensively. And then we've got some pretty savvy receivers that are coming back. We graduated a lot of skill players that have played a lot of snaps for us last year. But what that's going to do is going to give us give us some young guys an opportunity, and those young guys are good. They've got to get a little seasoned, and get some Friday night reps underneath their belt. So offensively, that's kind of we're really going to be relying on our offensive line as the returning four that we have.
Yeah. And then, just same kind of thing for defense.
Yeah, so defensively, we lose a lot defensively from last year. And we've got some guys that have played a lot of football. And we've got some returning starters as well, particularly on the back end in the secondary. And those guys have got to be the ultimate eraser. They got to erase a lot of mistakes that happen, and so and then they got to make us right on the back end. And so we've got some returners that are going to do that and that have done that for us well. We've got some new guys that we're going to be rolling on the D line. We've got some new linebackers. But again, they're good young guys. They just need some experience. They need some seasoning. So particularly on the back end is where we're a little bit more experienced on defense.
So you talk about those young guys and those new faces. I mean, who are some of the guys that have been standing out to you as possible breakout players this season?
Yeah, so our JV team last year went undefeated. It went 8-0, 9-0. And so that group that came in last year as freshmen have played together, coming up all the way through youth league ball, all the way through middle school. So they've played a lot of football together. All right. And so that group now we're going to be relying on a lot for Friday nights, as well as this upcoming 8th grade freshman class. Playing a lot of guys there that have played together as well and that have had some good couple weeks with us. A lot of guys in those classes. And then some just returning guys that we're excited about. I mean, again, you look out there and you see a lot of new faces, but then you see those new faces make plays and you're like, okay, like this is going to be awesome to see kind of this next wave of players come up. So no guys really, specifically, but just again, I think when you look at us this year, you're used to seeing those 3-4 year starters that we've had that have now graduated. We got some new faces at receiver. We've got a new face at running back. We've got a new face at quarterback. We're gonna have a new face at tight end. So it's just a lot of places where there's going to be some new guys step up that I'm excited to see what they do.
Earlier you mentioned that Coach Laws told you to make it your own. I mean, are you going to potentially change maybe the play style of the team a little bit, or is it going to look similar with just minor adjustments?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, football is football, right? I mean, you got to be, you got to have 4 to 6 seconds of all-out effort and energy, right? You got to be gap sound. You got to block. You got to tackle. You got to take care of the football, right? So football is football in that aspect. But now maybe some tweaks that we will do, right? We installed a new defense this year, right? We installed a new offense this year, and so the kids have taken to that really well and have bought in and really kind of learned it and made it their own. And so that's what's been really encouraging to see. Is you got all these kind of newer things that are happening, right? Like newer weight room routine and how we do stuff in the weight room, newer offense, newer defense. And they've just, again, they've bought in and they've picked it up and they've done really well with it. And now we just got to keep progressing and building on that.
Yeah. Looking at your schedule, man, I mean, what are some of the games that you have circled on there?
Well, I make this joke and I do mean it, man. I got all of them circled. I'm excited about all of them because, you do so much work in the off season, and football has truly became a year-round sport. It is. And so, you've got so much time put in for 10 guaranteed opportunities. That's it. All right. And so all the way back starting in January, going all winter and going all spring, hitting all the summer, and then end it here in fall with 10 opportunities. So, but if you're going to make me pick one, I'm excited for that first game. That first game is kind of a long time coming just to get all of this, all of the stuff that's came with being a first year head coach, just make it about football, make it about the kids. And that's what's going to happen on that first game. And it's at home. It's going to be an awesome environment. So just again, getting that first game kind of underneath our belt and get that thing going and then starting the season off, and it should be good.
You mentioned that week 1 game. I mean, who do you guys have in non-conference, and how do you think those games are going to help challenge you?
Sure. I mean, well, non-conference wise, every single one of them is going to challenge us. I mean, that's that first game I'm talking about. We open it up with the state champ runner-up Brevard, and who took it to us last year. I mean, they whipped our tail last year. And they had a really good team last year. Again, that's a proud program, and they'll be ready to play. So that first game with Brevard is going to test us in a lot of ways. Then second game against Maiden, Maiden is very solid. They're very well coached. They got good kids. They got good depth, and they're going to be a good football team. They were good last year. They're going to be good again this year. And then that third game, we got J.M. Robinson, who, again, you go off the mountain to Charlotte. There's some scary guys off the mountain. So J.M. Robinson, they're going to be good. I know they're going to be loaded. And then the fourth game, we've got Murphy, who is also a state champion runner-up. Murphy does what they do as good as anybody. And so we've got to be able to be disciplined in our assignments on defense and be able to move the ball and sustain some drives on offense. And again, they're very well coached and they're very hard nosed. And then we got that fifth game of the non-conference is Freedom, who took it to us last year. And so they're gonna have some cats that I know that can go. Coach Atkins does a fantastic job there and doing what they run. So it's going to test us in a lot of ways that first 5 weeks. And then that bye week can't come at a better time after those 5. We've got our bye week is week 6 before we get into conference play. And of course, non-conference is going to be tough, but our conference is probably going to be just as tough, if not tougher. I mean, we've got some really good teams in the conference. A lot of teams have shown a lot of improvement. A lot of teams are going to come back, bringing back a lot of good players. And so it's going to be a good test for us for 10 games.
All right. Final question for you. But before we get to it, I want to remind everybody of today's sponsor, Talk It Out NC. From facts about effects of alcohol to conversation starters, join Talk It Out NC to cheer for safe, smart choices. Together, we can make a difference. Cheer along with us to create a safe, bright future at talkitoutnc.org. So my final question is, what would you say is the most overlooked or underrated thing about AC Reynolds football program?
I mean, the obvious one right here, and I'm biased on this, but I think we've got the most beautiful stadium, beautiful scenery, backdrop, and in this part of the state, if not the state. I mean, you can see the picture behind me right here. Got the mountains in the backdrop. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's always fun to see some teams that do come off the mountain or come up from the bottom of the mountain up, and they see just our backdrop and our stadium, and and it's a special place because it's a Asheville City school, right? But it's got a small town feel still. Right, like people in Fairview in the community care about high school sports and they care about Reynolds, and that's part of what drew me to this place. Is that our fan base is fantastic. I mean, again, it's a bigger city, but it's still got that small town feel where high school sports matter. And Friday nights are electric, and I'm excited to get to them. Can't get here soon enough. So I think the most overlooked thing is probably just again our scenery, our backdrop, and our fans. It's a special place.
Well, I look forward to seeing it all come together and seeing you be at the helm of it, man. Thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely. Ben, I appreciate all you do, man. Thank you guys for what you do at High School OT, covering high school sports and, giving some light to some programs around the state. Again, we're all in this thing together. We're all in this thing for the benefit of kids and making, better in them and ready in that next generation. And y'all do a good job of highlighting it all. So appreciate you guys too.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Hey, you take care, man.
Absolutely.